Or you little cricket. Well, good morning, guys. I just rolled out of bed on Saturday morning, and I've got a tea time this morning. But before I go play golf, I've got to get my strip steak in a marinade for the Carne Asada Tacos that I'm going to bring over to my mom's house this afternoon for a Cinco de Mayo party. And I want to bring you guys along with me as I prepare those tacos today. So this is the recipe that I found at allrecipes.com. I just did a search for Cinco de Mayo recipes, and All Recipes was the first link, and this was one of the recipes they had under their Cinco de Mayo category, taqueria style tacos, or carne asada. I've never made a dish exactly like this, but I do know that I enjoy all of these flavors. I'm not sure I'm going to follow this exactly, but here is the rough list of ingredients. Now all I'm doing right now is getting the marinade ready. So they suggest that I want to use white vinegar, soy sauce, fresh garlic, lime juice, olive oil, salt, pepper, white pepper, garlic powder, chili powder, oregano, cumin, and paprika, which is probably pretty close to the list of ingredients I will actually use, but I will definitely not measure them. For the fresh garlic that's going to go into the marinade, just kind of a crush and a rough chop is going to be perfectly sufficient. This is always a good technique to break garlic down quickly, is just to put it underneath your knife. Put one underneath your knife and just give it a pop. When you crush them like that, it seems to unlock a lot of the garlicky aromas and flavors. Just a nice rough chop, and that should get us going. I'm going to start building my marinade, and I'm actually going to make, I think, more like a double batch. The recipe called for 3 pounds of flank steak, and I actually have about 3.5 pounds of strip steak. So it's a little more meat than they're expecting, and strip steak is a bit tougher, so I figured more marinade-y goodness can't hurt. So they said half a cup of soy sauce. Now I have just under a full cup with when I finish off my bottle here. So that's what I'm going to use as kind of my basis for measuring the rest of the ingredients. The proportion was half a cup of soy sauce to 1/3 of a cup of white vinegar. So I'm going to put in hopefully just under 2/3 of a cup of white vinegar. So that's 1/3, and then that's a bit less than. Okay, that is our base, and then they're looking for the juice of 2 limes. Oh, they want 2 limes, so I should go to 4 limes. That does strike me as a lot of lime juice, and I'm actually a huge fan of lime juice, but that seems like a lot. I don't know. I'm going to squeeze these 4 lime halves, and then get some of my other seasonings in there, and just see how we're coming, but lime juice may be the thing that we add later. I think we can get a little more out of there. There we go. I'm going to add the fresh garlic. And then the recipe recommended whisking all this together before adding the dry seasonings. Sounds like a good plan to me. So I will do that. Smelling good already. Checking on the seasonings to see if there was any one that they wanted a lot of. Salt, black pepper, white pepper, garlic powder, chili powder, oregano, cumin, and paprika, just 1 teaspoon each. So I'm just going to put in a couple pinches of each. A little salt. Bunch of black pepper. Not sure I have white pepper. I might go look. Oregano. I can't really do this left-handed. I'll switch the camera so you can see. I can't do my dashes left-handed. That would be too hard. So I already put a bit of oregano in, and there's just a bit more. Hopefully that wasn't too much. I guess that is the downside of this method, but it's so much more fun this way. Yeah, that was probably a little more oregano than we were looking for, but it can't hurt us. We like flavor. Okay. Got some chili powder. Now, I know I've got some fans of spice in this group. However, my sister is very, very close to having a baby, and apparently in the late stages of pregnancy, heartburn or acid reflux or whatever is not uncommon. And she actually asked me especially to make sure I didn't make it too spicy, so I'll try to go easy on her. I'm adding some ginger here. Was that even on the list? I think it might not have been, but it certainly seems like a spice that goes with all these other ones. So I've got this much granulated garlic left. I might just dump it all in there. Even with the fresh garlic, not quite all of it. Even with the fresh garlic, they were calling for some garlic powder. And I say, why disappoint? I've got a little white onion powder here too. Can't even remember if that was on there, but I grabbed it. A little cumin seed, that was definitely on there. Nice dash of cumin. And some paprika. This Hungarian sweet paprika is a great paprika. Not that I'm a paprika pro, but I use this in my barbecue rub, and it's a very nice one. Okay. Nice dash of spices. Now, I also have these dried chile de arbol, which I think they were just gonna call for those in the salsa, not in the marinade. And I was gonna add them to the marinade, but then I remembered that my sister doesn't want it to be too spicy, so I'm gonna try to keep the spicy stuff in the sides that you don't have to put on. All right, so let's see what we've got here. Ooh. So, that's not bad. I just gave this a taste. It's not, this is a marinade for a strip steak. It's not for like a sauce, right? So, it's a bit vinegary. It's a bit vinegary, but I'm actually really liking this spice profile. Gonna let that sit on the palate for a minute, but we might be good there. I'm getting the lime juice. It's not too much lime. We could add a little bit more. It doesn't. I'm gonna add maybe another half a lime. I don't know. I can't decide. We'll see. I mentioned it's early in the morning. I didn't even realize that this recipe is calling for half a cup of olive oil, which in my proportions is nearly a full cup of olive oil. Obviously, that's part of the marinade. It'll help it. I don't know if it'll help it stick to the meat. That sounded like it made sense in my head. I don't know. But I'm going to add, that's a little more than half a cup, probably not yet 2/3 of a cup. I don't know if we need a whole cup, but we'll see what that does. That's definitely going to, what's it going to do? It's going to cut the spice level. So it might make more sense to add more lime juice after this, but we'll see. The other thing about this kind of, like a marinade or this kind of a spice mixture in a liquid is it can take a couple minutes for the flavors to sort of settle down and meld together, in my experience. So you put it together and you taste it, but then after you give it a really solid whisk and taste it again in a couple minutes, sometimes you can pick up slightly different flavor profiles. Alright, so I'm going to give this another try. Yeah, I just mellowed it out a bit. It's still tasting pretty good, but I'm still going to let that sit for about 2 minutes and then taste it again and see if we need to make any more adjustments. Hope you guys like my hair today. Alright, so I tasted the marinade again after a couple minutes, and I'm really liking where it's at. I didn't add any more lime or anything else. And now I'm ready to marinate the steaks. And the recipe called for the steaks to be put into a glass dish that I would cover, but I have limited fridge space at the moment, and I don't think I could fit a big glass dish in there. So I'm just using this Ziploc bag that Jennifer always has on hand. These are the 2.5 gallon variety. They're very large. So hopefully that should work out. And I'm just gonna lean back and pour my marinade in there. Oops, I spilled a little. Darn it. So I'm gonna wipe that up, and then I'll just kind of, I'll toss this around to get it all coated. All right, so I wiped everything down, and now here's my, I've got my 3 strip steaks in the bottom of my bag here, and I'm just sort of, giving it a nice tossing to try to make sure, oh, that's not on there anymore. Give it a nice tossing to try to make sure all the meat gets coated, and, so the recipe says let marinate for 1 to 8 hours. I think, especially with a strip steak, which is a tougher steak than flank, which they were asking for. Although it is more marbled, so we're going to get some flavor that way. But I think that the more hours, the better. I mean, not for like 3 days, but 8-9 hours for a marinade like this would be great. It's 8 o'clock right now, and or not quite 8. Dinner's at 5. I'll be back from golf at noon. My point is, you're going to want to flip this at least once or twice throughout the process, so I'll be able to flip it in the middle and make sure all the sides are getting coated. So that's the start to today's Cook Nook, and it will conclude when I return from golfing. I guess this isn't really a sign-off, but I'll see you guys later. So hi again. I just got back from playing golf. It turned into a gorgeous day here in Chicago, so that was a lot of fun. But now it's time to cook again, and I was just reviewing the recipe, and this recipe calls for both like a relish that's really just chopped onion and cilantro, and a salsa that's got the kind of tomatoes and peppers in it. And it says to roast the tomatoes and peppers in a 400-degree oven, which is certainly a good method. But I think I'm actually gonna smoke them real quick out on my barbecue pit, and so I'll do them at more like a maybe like a 250 temperature for a good hour, or until it looks like they're done. I love using the smoker, and that'll infuse some extra flavor. So I'm going to take you guys outside and show you how I get my smoker started, or my barbecue pit started, as they would call it down in Texas. All right, so what we have here is a standard charcoal chimney stack. So I've got it outside in a foil pan, and the way this works is that you pour your charcoal in the top, and then there's a section at the bottom where you put some newspaper, and you light it on fire, and then the heat from the newspaper will get the charcoal started. Now, unfortunately, I realized that I actually hardly had any charcoal left. Not sure how well you can see there, but there's like almost no charcoal down there. Now, because it is a warm day, the sun is out, it's a beautiful day, I didn't actually need a whole lot of charcoal to get my smoker going. It's a big thing of, cast iron, so if it's, one of those 0-degree Chicago days, it can take quite a bit of heat to get all of that metal, up to temperature. Today I wasn't going to take a lot, but I thought I needed more than that, so I'm going to be trying to start a fire with a very small amount of charcoal. While that's getting going, I'll just show you guys how an offset smoker works if you're not familiar with the concept. This is it right there. The barrel, that big thing, is where the meat goes, and this is called the firebox on the right. So the thing about smoking is you actually don't want the heat to come from the charcoal. The charcoal is used to get the fire started, and it's used to get this the iron up to temperature, but we want the flavor to come from the wood that's going to burn in there. That's what we're trying to get, is the natural wood burning aroma and flavor. And that's why I want to start it. I want to start the fire with charcoal. I don't want to put newspaper in here. I don't want to put lighter fluid in here. That'll create less natural aromas and flavors that I want to keep out of my firebox. But in any case, in a minute, I'll be pouring the charcoal in here, and then I'll put some wood chunks on top of it, and that'll be the basis for our fire. And the way this works is that we open this grate over here, and the airflow comes from this direction. It feeds the fire, and then the heat goes, travels through that opening into our cooking chamber. And oh, I left that water pan in there from last time. Oh well, that wasn't too long ago. So this is the cooking chamber, and then it goes out through the smoke stack over here. So once we get started, you You always want to minimize how often you open this chamber because you'll let out the heat and the smoke and the flavor. But what we will do is we can adjust the temperature by moving this grate over here. The wider we open it, the hotter it'll get. So that's the basics of an offset smoker. This particular smoker, because I'm guessing some of you will ask, is a Close brand barbecue pit. Close is a barbecue pit manufacturer from down in Texas. They're all handmade. A guy I used to work with turned me onto these. He's a barbecuing fanatic and highly recommended them. This one has worked out very well for me. So as I was saying, if I was doing a brisket for 10 hours and it was cold out, I would need a whole lot more charcoal than that to get going. In these conditions, I would have used at least 3 times as much charcoal, but that's all I had. So this is my sad little fire. But the charcoal did get started, and I've just got a couple of my small cherry wood chips on there. You can see they're beginning to smoke. They're going to burn in a second, and then that will be the basis for my fire, and I'll be adding some of these bigger chunks in a moment, and I even have a medium-sized wood chip. So I'll build the fire incrementally that way until it's got some critical mass, and got my temperature gauge over here. The key is going to be getting this up to the about 250 range. 200 to 250 is going to be our target range for doing the vegetables. For most meat smoking, ribs or brisket, you want to be 200 to 220, but for the veggies we can go a little higher. Alright, so now you can see I've got a little fire going, and that means I can actually add some proper sized wood chips. I would usually do right-handed, it's easier. But if I get a few of these on, we'll have enough fuel to start getting our cooking area close to the desired temperature. Sorry if I'm missing the angle. There you go. So I don't know, I used to be a Boy Scout. I like playing with fire, so I'm sharing my footage of the fire. It may not be that interesting to many of you, but this is the fun part for me. I got the ingredients that are going to go in my salsa, and or the vegetables anyway, that I'm prepping for the smoker now that I've got my fire started. And this is a process that I learned from my uncle, the professional chef who in his previous restaurant incarnations did specialize in barbecue. He kind of drilled this into me. Every time you're putting vegetables on the smoker, there's a 3-step process. First, stab everybody with a fork a couple times. At least two pricks per vegetable is a good idea. Maybe 1 for the tomatoes is okay. Now we should probably get 2. This is so that steam from inside the vegetables can escape without doing damage to the surface. Did I get all those? I gotta get the jalapenos. So what I've got in here are tomatoes, an onion, a few jalapenos, and a few poblanos. All of these were ingredients for the original salsa recipe except the poblanos. I just sort of like, I love poblano peppers. I love to add them to salsas and sauces in spots like this. They're not very spicy at all, but especially when you roast them or smoke them, they just add this great subtle pepper flavor. So got everybody poked, and then we oil. That's always step number 2. Everything that goes on the smoker gets a little oil on it first. So I'm just drizzling some olive oil on there, and I'll try and kind of rotate them around and get a coating. I mean, it doesn't need to be like a real solid coating. Just give everybody a little taste of oil. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some of my barbecue rub on there. So I don't think this recipe called for seasoning the vegetables at all at this point, but Jack taught me to always put some rub on everything I'm putting on the smoker. And so this is my uncle's proprietary rub recipe, which I may get permission to share with you folks in the future. It's paprika and onion, salt, garlic powder, lemon pepper, many other things. So I usually have some of this pre-mixed on hand. So I'm just going to do a light dusting of rub on these veggies, just because I think it'll make them a little happier. Bam. Emerald always likes to talk about making the food happy, so I figured I would channel. Bam! Alright, so do a little flip. I want to get both sides. Maybe I won't. Yeah, I'll go for both sides of the tomatoes. Okay. One more dusting. Now it turns out that what's already in this rub are a lot of the same spices that went into the marinade we put on the steak earlier. So, you know, everything should work very well together. Okay, so these veggies are now ready to go on the smoker, and we're going to go outside and check on the temperature. As you can see, I've added considerably to my fire, and it's ready to go. And we're not quite up to temperature yet. I'm still only at about 170 there, but I'm going to get these vegetables added. Oh, accidental zoom in. We're not quite up to temperature yet, just at about 170 there, but I'm going to get these vegetables added in so that once I do get up to my temperature, I don't have to open it again and lose it. So I did freshen up my water bath. It's not strictly necessary, the water bath, but it does serve a couple of useful purposes. It deflects some of the direct heat so it doesn't hit our food so directly. I mean, it's coming indirectly, but it's coming from over here is where the heat is, so the water bath deflects it somewhat. And then it also adds some moisture to the cooking zone, and it also helps stabilize the temperature because it sort of acts as a heat sink. Now the onion is definitely the toughest of all these vegetables, so I'm putting it closest to my fire, followed by the poblanos, which are nice and big, and then my bigger jalapenos with my little guy in the back where it's going to be cooler, and my tomatoes also over here where they will be a little safer from the heat. You know that I was also planning on making some meatballs today so I can send my grandparents home for my mother's Cinco de Mayo party with some spaghetti and meatballs. And I already did a Cook Nook on spaghetti and meatballs, so I'm not going to film all the meatballs again, but I'm going to do just a couple things differently this time based on feedback I got from you guys. So I'm just going to show you some clips of that and integrate them into this video. You know, I've sort of been struggling with the stylistic decision of, is the Cook Nook going to be more like I was watching Laura in the kitchen, and she kind of, you know, is more professional about here's the video for this thing and here's the video for that thing. Or I could go the style where it's more like a vlog and it's just like, this is what I'm cooking today, you know? Because I'm also doing these these baked jalapenos today, and I don't know if I should do that separate video or not. I don't know, we'll see. But I'm just going to sneak in a couple of meatball clips here for you. We'll see how that works. So one of the viewers suggested for my meatballs soaking the bread in milk instead of water, which seemed like a great idea. So that's what I'm trying now. And I've never done this before. I kind of had to think about the right way to do it. What I did is I put some milk in a bowl here, and I've got my strainer in the sink. So I'm just going to give each piece of bread a nice soaking on both sides. I mean, I'm not like letting it sit in there. Like if I was making French toast, I'd let it sit in here for a while. I'm not going to do that, but I'm just letting it, you know, flipping it over once or twice, and then just piling it up in my strainer. I'm really liking this idea. I bet it just adds a nice little richness. Okay, so for these meatballs, we do 4 slices of bread with the crust cut off. So that's what I've got. So for my grandparents, I added the veal into the meat mixture. Jennifer doesn't like veal, so I omitted that last time, but I've got 1/3 pound, about 2/3 pound of ground beef, 2/3 pound of ground veal, 2/3 pound of ground pork, salt and pepper on both sides of each of those hunks of meat. And now it's time to add the rest of the seasonings. So I'm going to get started with 1/2 cup of Parmesan, just to get that meat nice and happy. And also about a handful of chopped parsley. And then 3 tablespoons of dried oregano. Maybe that was 3. I'm adding a bit more than that. 3 tablespoons of dried basil. Gonna add a little more than that too, I think. You definitely can use fresh herbs. I made a big batch of sauce this week where it calls for dried basil and oregano, but I used fresh herbs that time. I thought I had some fresh basil, but it didn't look good anymore. So gonna stick with the dried herbs. I've got my crushed garlic. Got about a dozen cloves of garlic crushed in kosher salt. Crushed and chopped up as fine as I could get them. I'm gonna add that. And then I've got my 4 slices of bread that are soaked in milk. Get those guys added. And then I've got 1 beaten egg. And we also want a teaspoon of sugar, which I almost forgot. bit of sugar. And then just mix with your hands. Oh my God, look at me. I forgot the raisins again. It's funny how this works. I'm gonna go get my raisins before I get this too far incorporated. The raisins are really the best part of this meatball. I don't know how I keep almost forgetting that. Oh, now someone reminded me to like squeeze the package before I dump them in, because otherwise sometimes you can get some clumps. I actually got away with it last time, but I noticed a couple of clumps going through there. Okay, so I'm just, that's probably just over half a cup of raisins. And we mix. There we go. Now I'm starting to see more consistency in the color and the texture of this meat mixture, and that leads me to believe that it is nearly done mixing. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. So I just finished rolling these out. I got 16 of them this time instead of 12, which is nice. I think I made them just a little bit smaller. I probably had slightly more meat because of the way I bought 3 and just how it rounded out. But I like the size this time. I think they're just slightly smaller than last time. So now they're going to go in a 350 degree oven, and we're going to cook them to an internal temperature of, let's say, 155 as a target. So it'll go up a few degrees after we take it out and get to 160. I'm guessing that's going to take me, probably going to take me 25 minutes, but I'm setting my timer for 20 and I'll check the temperature at that point. Meanwhile, I've got some water boiling here just for the pasta I'm going to cook for my grandparents to give to them with the sauce and the meatballs. The whole idea is to have the meal just kind of ready for them to reheat and something nice and soft. Now, the other dish that I'm going to bring over to my mother's for Cinco de Mayo, even though it's Cuatro de Mayo, it's going to be our Cinco de Mayo celebration today. I wanted to do something, you know, with jalapenos or some, you know, serrano or some kind of pepper in some way. And I found this recipe at Simply Recipes for baked stuffed jalapenos. And I thought they looked pretty good. And it's basically cheese and bacon in there. And so to get those started, I've got some bacon in my pan. And, you know, I don't really know what the best way to fry bacon is or prepare bacon. I don't do it that often. I'm always trying different ways. I don't know what the best way is. I've never done it in this pan, actually. This is a fairly new pan. I heard of maybe putting the bacon in a cold pan and then turning the heat on, something like a medium-high. I've got it at 4, and let it go. So we'll see how it goes. I will show you the progress. My veggies have been out here for almost an hour now, maybe 50 minutes. We got our temp right here at is that 210 or 220? 220, which is pretty decent. I wouldn't mind it a little higher, but 220 is good. So basically what I've been doing every 15 or 20 minutes is I come out here, I check on the temperature, I grab a few chunks of wood from my box, and, you know, I check on the state of my fire here. And, you know, that's a nice size where I just need to add a few pieces of fuel to keep it going for the next 15 minutes or so. I'm going to add one more when I put the camera down. But I did, so it's been 50 minutes. I did check on the veggies about 40 minutes ago. And they were coming along nicely, but they're going to need at least another 20 minutes from here, I think. But fire's in good shape. Veggies coming along. I'm going to go back and tend that bacon. About 3 minutes in, bacon is beginning to sizzle. Certainly not sticking at all. Smelling good. About 3 more minutes later, and we're still gently sizzling along. I thought about raising the heat. Maybe I did a tiny fraction, but I figure why hurry it? Bacon looks happy. After about 8 minutes, we started getting some actual browning and crispifying happening. So I use my tongs to loosen them up and kind of rotate. You know, the ones around the edges definitely weren't getting as much heat as the inside. That's just the way trying to cook a lot of bacon in this kind of pan at once works. So I did a rotation into the middle, and now they're humming along nicely. Well, my 20-minute buzzer just went off, and it looks like I'm at about 133 on my temp. I'm at about 133 on my temp. Just wanted to get the oven closed real quick there. So figure give them another at least 10 minutes to get to 155.
Well, I lost track of my bacon for a minute while I was doing the dishes, but I think I flipped it just in the nick of time that it's looking pretty perfect. It was a good, I mean, it was at least 12 minutes on that side, possibly more. Sorry, I was shaking the camera. But it's coming along very nicely. I like it. It's 4:07 and my mother's party starts at 5. Got my water boiling, I've got my bacon sizzling, I've got my meatballs in the oven, and I've got my vegetables out on the smoker. I think that just a few seconds ago, the plan finally came together for how I'm gonna get all this done. I'm going to finish cooking the bacon, I'm going to drop the pasta, I'm gonna pull the meatballs out of the oven, I'm gonna heat some sauce on the stove, I'm gonna drop the pasta in the sauce, I'm gonna put the meatballs in the sauce, I'm gonna let that cool while I run up and take a shower. Then I'm gonna come back. Oh, before the shower, I get the vegetables off the smoker, cannot forget that. Then we shower while the vegetables cool. Then we finish the relish. We chop up the jalapenos and stuff them with cheese and bacon. And we package these spaghetti and meatballs for Grandma and Grandpa. And is there any chance we'll be out of here by 5 o'clock? Let's find out. Well, I got greedy. While I was working on that zoom out off of the clock, I forgot about my bacon. It may have burned slightly, but it's okay. I had more than I needed. I turned off the heat here. I'm going to pull it off the pan in just a moment. I'll cut off those burnt parts and we'll be fine. So I poured my bacon fat in here for storage or use later, and here's my pan that I cleaned very quickly, because when you have a pan like that with that crusty stuff on it, oh, I forgot I've got to make guac too. We'll have to sneak that in after the shower. Anyway, a pan like that you always want to clean while it's hot. It'll be a whole lot easier than if you let it cool off. So when it's still real hot, throw it right under the water, and it is just like one scrub and all that stuff comes right up. So now we're going to check on the vegetables. I'll let you guys see them this time. I didn't last time because I just wanted to have it open for 2 seconds. Yep, they're looking pretty good. They could actually, I'm gonna let these keep roasting while I'm in the shower. They could use a few more minutes. Our temperature was pretty high. Got fired nicely. I'm gonna put on 3 more hunks of apple wood. I ran out of cherry wood, but fortunately we had a little apple left in the garage, so there goes some apple wood. I also, the last time out, I closed the vent to slow down the heat here, so this will I've been having to tend it every 20 minutes, but this will maintain its temperature for a while now that we've got it all the way up there. I just pulled my meatballs out of the oven, and they had actually gotten to about, I saw 163 internal temperature on one of them, and so fortunately I had not started heating my tomato sauce yet. I pulled it cold out of the fridge in these handy Ziploc containers that I had stored them in. And so the sauce was cold. I poured it in the pan. I got the meatballs in the pan as quickly as I could to stop the cooking process on the meatballs, and they should still be perfect and juicy. And actually, because they were in there a little longer, I got some great crusty bits on this pan and some oil from the meat, and I dumped all that in the sauce as well, because I think that'll add some great flavor. So now I've got low heat here with my sauce and meatballs, which I just want to get to a nice warm temperature, be able to receive the pasta when it comes out of the water. And I'm trying the Whole Foods brand organic spaghetti pasta. I've never used this one before. We'll see how it is, or I have to get my grandparents to report back. Well, actually, I'll be trying a noodle or two to test the doneness. This is hard to do while I'm holding the camera. But so this pasta I think will take 10 or 12 minutes. And then I'm gonna get it in the pot, and then I'll be able to take a shower. Got some downtime while the pasta's cooking, and now I realized I want to make guacamole after I take my shower, so I'm starting to prep the jalapenos for the baked bacon and cheese jalapenos that I want to make later. And the recipe for this said you can either cut these down the middle, you know, and make equal length boats, or you could like cut off the top third and make it deeper, then actually chop up the top and mix it in with the filling, and then you get more filling in that way. But I think I'm going to go with the down the middle boat method, so that'll get me more bites, and well, I guess it won't change the ratio, so I guess it's just because it'll get me more bites. I was thinking it was going to make it less carverific. So what you do is you slice these down the middle, and then I'm going to use a little spoon or something to carve out the insides. You know, obviously the majority of the heat for a pepper is in its seeds. It's not in the flesh. So, you know, jalapenos really, you know, they're spicy. Like my sister won't be eating any of these today, but they're not that spicy. Although I think there might be some sort of thing where 1 out of 5 or 10 of them is spicier than the others. But even that, you know, it's the habaneros that really get you. You know, the jalapenos just give let's say, a nice healthy bite. So as soon as I get these chopped up, I'm gonna carve them out, and then can't remember what is in the filling other than cheese and bacon, but I'll look that up and I'll give you guys another look at the recipe, and then I'll try and whip that together real quick. So this is what the scooping out of the inside looks like. I just do it right into the garbage, and I'm trying to get out most of the fibers in there. Basically all of the inside, so we've got a nice little boat left. I turned the heat under my sauce up to high once I got the meatballs in, and I felt like their temperature had stopped accelerating. And by some miracle, the sauce started just to bubble a little bit and get hot, just as my pasta is getting just to the al dente point, I think. So yep, there we go. I stirred it, and the bubbles are returning. That means they're just slowly returning. We're at the perfect temperature in there to gently receive the pasta. Just help it cook a tiny bit more. So I'm gonna tong the rest of this pasta out, and then I've got to jump in the shower real quick. It's 4:31. I'm a little behind schedule. See how fast I can go. I decided that I would pull my vegetables off of the smoker before I get in the shower so they can cool a little bit before I work with them. So I'm back fresh out of the shower. It is now 4:42, and time to get to work on the filling for the jalapenos. Throwing away the bits that don't look delicious. That's all fine. A little darkness, I don't mind, or char, but not the really black parts. I think this will be plenty. I'm looking for a 1/4 cup of chopped bacon. And alright, so this is going in a filling for a little 1-bite appetizer. So, you know, I want a pretty fine chop on it. I guess it's not going to be a 1-bite appetizer, but it'll be a couple bites. Some of those jalapenos were pretty huge. Some of them were close to 1-bite size. I think I want it even finer. I guess you can't even see. So I actually want more than a 1/4 cup because I have more jalapenos than the recipe calls for. So 1/2 cup of cheese. I actually have 3/4, 1/4 cup of bacon. I'm actually adding a handful more. That looks like a good start. There we go. So it also calls for a 1/4 cup of chopped onion. I can't decide. I think I might just omit the onion. It doesn't need it. You know, I get in trouble when I eat raw onion. It makes my breath terrible. I'm just going to omit the onion. But cilantro, cumin, and oregano is what's left. I have some cilantro around here. Yeah, between the cilantro and the jalapenos, we're getting plenty of, you know, acid or bite or whatever the heck it is the onion does. So I've got some cilantro that I'm going to pull here. We need a 1/4 cup. 1/4 cup? 1/4 cup. So I'm doing a little more than that, so I need 1/3 of a cup of chopped cilantro, something like that. I would usually be a little more careful about this, but I am in a time rush. So I'm just kind of shredding this. Oh, I'm going to want some cilantro for my guac too, so I can't use it all. I'm not sure I was planning on all this cilantro. Alright, so I'm going to try to pull all this off now because I'll be making the guac shortly. I will be texting my mother in advance to have her preheat her oven to 375 because these jalapeno things, I'm going to stuff them here and then we're going to put them in the oven over there so we can serve them nice and hot and fresh. That's the same thing with the steak for the tacos. It's still marinating here and I'm going to grill it over there. Alright, so that's a nice cilantro harvest, even though it took me several minutes. get a nice cilantro chop and see what we have. I've still got some bacon on my cutting board, which might make its way into the guacamole, but how can that be a bad thing? I mean, actually, that sounds like a great idea. Bacon guacamole? Is that a thing? If it's not, it should be. Bacon anything, really? Am I right? Oh. Okay. Oh. I do not. I'm just, I'm not OCD about much, but big chunks of things in my food when it should be integrated, it's not a happy thought. Okay. Do I have a 1/4 cup of cilantro? Nice, and then that's for the guac. Okay. 1/4 cup of cilantro. And what now? Oregano. I don't know how much they asked for. I am looking, just because, I haven't done this before. I wonder what the rough, just a teaspoon of oregano. Yeah, that's not much, so. Alright. It's going to be all my cumin. Alright, perfect. Okay, I'm just gonna crack some pepper in there. It seems like the thing to do, just to dash your salt. Alright, so just mix this stuff, I presume. Alright, that's the filling. Alright, so now it's time to work on the relish. I've actually made something like this before, I realize, for a smoked lamb that I do for barbecue sometimes. Call it a smoked vegetable relish. I usually go for a mint flavor profile with that one. We're not going to do mint today. I've lost track of where I put that recipe, the webpage. But I'm just going to kind of eyeball. I'm going to start with only half my onion. I don't like to make things too oniony. Just giving that a chop to get it started. Alright, so with half an onion, these tomatoes, just the whole thing go right in there. I think, should I carve out? No, I'm gonna, maybe I should carve out this part. It doesn't look too appetizing. Lose a little juice that way, but it's fine. Yeah, we're going to carve that part out. Just, the top of the stem. Okay. Got 5 tomatoes total. I'm not sure if I'm going to use them all. Let's see if I can. Oh, there we go. I almost just pulled that right off. Just pulled that part out of the middle. That worked nicely. Let's see if I can show you that. Or if it happens again. Just separate the tomato from the part. Just pull it like away from the stalk. Oh, that worked perfectly. Oh, brilliant. I had no idea I could do that. Yeah, I might as well just squeeze it off. Huh. Okay. Well, that's 4 of those smallish tomatoes, so that should work nicely. Don't want any of that. All right, now my poblanos, I'm going to get those in there. So you don't want any of the seeds or the insides. Okay. Now, I never used a chili, arbol chilies. I was gonna saute those a little bit and then add them. That's okay, I've got heat from jalapenos instead. Now my sister, again, isn't doing the spice so much, so I'm gonna have to pull some of this out before I add the jalapenos. So there'll be a mild version. I like to do that when I make a sauce or a salsa. Have a spicy version and a mild version. It's not always just for my sister. Probably wouldn't have done it today though if she wasn't due in a week or so. Okay, so that's a start. Yes, I also want to add a goodly amount of salt and And the mild one can have a bit of pepper. And then I'm going to want to add some granulated garlic. Let's see what we've got. It's a little chunky yet. I'm going to keep whirring. I mean, obviously you can serve a chunky salsa, but it's not quite how I want it. Let's give it a taste. Alright, now, I have to adjust my expectations for mild. It's good. I think I could use a little more salt. Maybe a little more pepper. I could use some more garlic. I don't think I have any more granulated garlic. I have some of that fresh garlic. I'm just gonna add a bit of this too. It needs more. That is a healthy amount. Alright, let's see what happens. Oh, I can smell it. It's pretty good. That'll do. A little bit of the cilantro in here too. Guac won't need it all. A little more salt. That's perfection. Alright, so I've got this cute little bowl. I'll put the mild in here. So I'm adding my first jalapeno, and one seed got in there. I removed all the other seeds. I want the heat, but it'll come in, you get a better heat if you use the flesh. The top of the tongue heat comes from the seeds, but a lot of flesh will give you a lot of that background, back of the tongue. That heat that comes at the end, which is a much more, I think, yummy way to do it. But since I already took some of the other stuff out, I don't know how many of the jalapenos I need. Definitely another one. Oh. Okay. And I'm gonna add I've got the small one here, which hopefully picked up the most smoke. Oh, there it is. Yep, that's spicy. Oops. Hopefully I didn't overdo it. That's a little spicy. I like it. Jennifer will say it's not spicy at all. Well, we'll have guac to balance it out. Alright, salsa's done. I think the guac is next. Got to clean up a little. Okay, now it's time to work on the guac. And first thing I want to do is get a tomato ready. So, carving out the stalk, which is not yummy. Okay, I don't think I want the juice. And
I'm just gonna chop this into guacamole sized chunks. Maybe I should have done that the other way. Yeah, that would have been more intelligent. This is perfection. It's a good thing I'm not on Chopped. I would fail. I cannot go that fast. Okay. Not a tomato. What else do I need? I'm using a Williams-Sonoma recipe. Tomato, 2 tablespoons diced white onion. I will add the... What the hell? I'll leave the onion out of this too. I'm just using garlic. Screw you, convention. Oh, I'll put the jalapeno in. Did I save one? I did, right? Sugar. I didn't. Well, no, this is... no spice in this for my sister. See, I thought flam. Okay. So what, just minced garlic, salt, avocado, cilantro. Okay, let's... The minced garlic, I'm using this. I'm cheating with this. We all like garlic, so we'll get all our spice from garlic. Lime juice. Here's the juicer. Lime juice, salt. Now I'm supposed to make a coarse paste out of this. Oh, that bowl was never on camera. Oh well. I suppose that's a coarse paste. Now, so I've got this mortar and pestle that Jennifer has used in the past. I don't think I've ever used it. And it's time to see my avocados. This one feels super soft. I don't remember getting one that felt like this, but let's see what we've got. Yeah, that's not so good. I can maybe save it, but so I have 3 avocados. I probably really only need 2. It's a little better, man. You know, I thought I got them where they weren't that ripe yet, but I guess I don't know how ripe they can get in 2 days. I bought them 2 days ago, but we will save this. This one looks the best. I should be able to harvest enough. So I guess what you want to do here is go, and then if you twist, it comes out easily. Bang and twist. And then just use a spoon to get the avocado out of the skin. Pretty easy. I'm just going to give a rough chop on my cutting board, and there you can see, you know, there's a couple of unsavory looking bits, so I'll try to remove those. Yeah. Oh, they say I put the... I don't know. I think I do that. Alright, so there's the guac, and all that's left to do for those jalapeno boats is put the cheese in them, so I'm just going to do that once I get over to my mom's. It'll be easier to transport that way. So all the food's done. It's 5:17 though, and the kitchen is still a mess, and we have to pack it up. So we're going to be a little late. Oh well, it's a good thing my parents still love us, and we're coming with food, so they can't be too angry. Anyway, signing off for now. See you guys. First step for these jalapeno boats is to put this cheese and bacon mixture in, and then I'm gonna stuff these pepper jack batons on top of that, or kind of inside, and then we'll bake them. Probably putting a little too much filling in these, but that's the idea.
Oh, he's drinking.
So there we are, filling in pepper jack in place, and now we're gonna bake them 375, 15 minutes, something like that. All right, so it's been 15 minutes for these jalapenos, and you know the cheese is definitely getting to the point where it could be time to take it out, but just from looking at the edges of the peppers, I really want the peppers to get cooked through a little more than they are, I think, so I'm gonna try and leave this in as long as I can, maybe a whole nother 5 minutes. Nice golden brown cheese, that's what we were looking for. These are gonna sit for a minute or two before we put them out there, otherwise someone might hurt themselves. Plus we want the cheese to come back together a little bit. Not bad, huh?
Not bad.
Yeah. I was a little worried about them after 5 minutes, actually. I was looking, I was like, is it the right amount of cheese? Is this...
Perfect.
I think it'll be okay. Time to taste. Ooh. Mikey likes it. It's still pretty hot, temperature-wise. Not too spicy. Really getting the bacon. Good cheesiness. Oh, there's the spice. See, it comes in. Very nice. I'm pleased.
That's it?
Yeah. Are we rolling? Mm-hmm. All right, so it's time to get these steaks on the grill. Just want to get some oil down there. These steaks are very thin, so they're going to go quite fast. And thank you to my father for holding the camera. There we go. So these have been marinating since about 8 a.m. this morning. It's about 7 o'clock now. Perfect fit. All right, so it's been, I'd say, about 4 minutes, and these steaks are probably ready to turn. Yeah, that's looking good. Gorgeous. Beautiful. Oh, yeah. Oh, what do you think? Not quite. Not quite. Another minute. 1 minute, I think. That's all we need. Alright, I think these are looking good. Yeah. I think they're done. We're gonna let these rest for several minutes before we cut into them. We're about to slice into the steak and see how we did.
Sorry, my phone was leaking
Looking
all over
perfect.
the kitchen.
Huzzah.
All over the fridge.
So I'm gonna try and cut this into pretty thin slices that'll be conducive to tacos. No, that's good. We meet again.
5 minutes apart.
These are tortillas warmed up in the oven, done beautiful beef. The toppings, we got different kinds of salsa, done homemade salsa, done homemade guacamole.
Yeah, that's why I like
The cortija cheese, sour
Mom's
cream,
salad.
and the salad from Scrambled Cincinnati.
It's the mild version, spicy version, Whole Foods version, guac version,
They totally.
steak,
I didn't realize that you guys totally.
tortillas.
Oh, good.
Okay.
It's
All
Jack's
right.
recipe.
Gonna give
I'm
it a try.
enjoying it so much, I can't even tell you.
Jack told me what to do.
Really? Well, enjoyment at its best.
I said, what do I serve with the carne asada? He goes, you know.
Delicious.
No, I don't.
Fantastic.
So,
Very pleased.
so
That's a
wonderful.
cut.
Beautiful. Suzanne made flan. Look at those berries.
Here's this beautiful flan that my mother made.
That's right.
Look at it with the berries and everything. Wow, gorgeous.